Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the podcast and YouTube channel that leans into the fact that Celtic have a fan base all across the planet. From Brecon to Brest, from Rosehearty to Rennes. Wherever you're watching from, you're part of A Celtic World. That's the bit that amuses me, obviously, and only me. But anyway, Jerry in Singapore, how's it going?
Not bad, Gav. I decided to just get some cannabis for my vape today, just to try and keep me calm through till the end of the window. So
Did you know? Look at you.
I'm chilling, man.
Very good. Paul, are you chilling down in Australia?
Actually, that was a joke. That was a joke, by the way. I just realised I can't say stuff like that in Singapore. Someone's going to come and knock on my door.
You get arrested. You'll be arrested. Yeah, no, I'm pretty good. Still technically winter here, so it's relatively cool. And I'm trying to continue to practice my Zen-like transfer window, which is starting to get a little bit tested, but we've managed so far. We've a couple more days to see it through. I'm ready to go absolutely mental if it doesn't work out, but that's for another week. A nice touch to Rosehearty. That's my neck of the woods, just along the road. So wasn't expecting to hear that in the intro.
Well, I was looking around Scotland on Google Maps for something beginning with an R, and there's not that many. Surprisingly few Scottish place names beginning with an R.
Rutherglen.
Yeah, Rutherglen to Rennes. That's probably all right, actually.
Is Renfrewshire a place?
Well, is a place, probably Renfrew would do your job.
Renfrew would do you.
Now anyway, the comments are gonna get lit with R's from Scotland.
Oh, here we go. Royston.
Yeah.
Is Royston an actual place in Scotland, or is that
No, it's a real place.
No, it's a place.
It's a real place.
Actually, Royston Vasey popped into my mind as I was creating the little menu for today. First of all, we're going to talk squeaky bum time in the transfer window, obviously. Then there's the League of Champions, which is what made me think of Royston Vasey, which is from the League of Gentlemen, for those who aren't comedy fans.
Yeah.
Third,
I wondered if you were going to explain it.
Well, Jerry probably doesn't know where Royston Vasey is, do you?
No idea.
He was looking blank, so yeah.
Yeah.
Should I say where Royston Vasey is, Paul, or who Royston Vasey is?
You I think it's two, isn't it? It's somebody's. It's Roy Chubby Brown's real name. Is that
Roy Chubby Brown's real name? And it's the name of the town in League of Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go. You learn something absolutely useless every day. I certainly will never remember that. Thankfully.
Fourth, we've got a little word about the international break, and then social media. Obviously, number one, squeaky bum time, transfer windows. That's going to take up most of the chat, I would imagine. And it's an ever-changing picture. So you guys in the comments, you're probably going to... Things might happen while we're on. So if it does, and if you see
optimistic,
feel free to let us know. Yeah.
I don't expect anything to happen while we're in the comments, but there you go.
Well, something might happen.
Well, yeah.
Something might happen. Hello to all the regulars. I'm just flicking through all the chat there. Tam Max in Rutherglen. Monty suggesting Rutherglen. Everyone's chilling like a villain. All right, good stuff. Well, where do we start with this whole thing? Well, let's start with what's happened. Let's be true to ourselves. We try and only deal with facts and, things that have actually happened. So, hold on a second. What's going on? Yes, let's talk about Valle, shall we? Alex Valle.
Is that how we're pronouncing
Paul,
it?
Yes, well, I think so. It's Valle. You could go Valle if you wanted to, try and be all Spanish on our asses, but
I see what you mean, yeah.
He is Catalan, and in lots of Catalonia, they don't pronounce the V as a B. And everywhere I've heard his name mentioned in all the commentaries and stuff, it's been Alex Valle. So
I might just stick.
We're going to go with that.
I think I'll stick with Alex
until further notice. Paul, how do you feel about his arrival?
Well, you could. There's obviously a couple of different ways you could view it, and a good chunk of our fan base is happy to go and find a negative in it. But I will be happy to say I'm delighted to have some competition at left back. It's been a little while since we had such a thing, so that's a positive. He seems like he's a talented player. He's played some, nearly a whole season on loan at Levante. Obviously, La Liga 2. It's not quite Champions League level, which is what people will complain about. But the kid's obviously talented, and it looks like Barcelona want to keep him. So, in an ideal world, it'd be an option to buy. But at the moment, you just want quality in. So, yeah, happy to have a left back with some sort of potential in the door, and let's see how it goes from there.
Jerry, you're our resident business expert. Do you have a good handle on the deal?
I'm happy. I'm happy that he that we have, like Paul. I'm happy. I was just going to say that. So anyway, still my thunder there. But I'm happy, like Paul, that we have signed someone. Happy that we've signed someone coming through who's come through the Barcelona academy. Really disappointed. Doesn't sound like Manuel. I was hoping that he'd sound like Manuel from Fawlty Towers, so we could get some comedic relief over the next couple of days. But yeah, I think clearly we need some competition if he is to be that for Greg Taylor. I think the Greg Taylor position is an interesting one because he's out of contract, I think, the end of the season, right? With certainly not heard of anything in terms of contract renewal talks. So, and also while we don't have an option to buy, there is that release clause. Yeah, there is that release clause. So, I guess if he's got a release clause of 3 million and
well, he hasn't. That's the problem.
Yes, let's discuss that. He used to have one that was 3 million, which expired in August, and then what happened was it's been increased now along with his wages as part of this new deal. It runs 2026.
Right.
We're going to pay his entire salary before the deal, which will be increased before the deal is completed. Not only will that, but also will his release clause at the start of August drop to 3 million euros when he wasn't registered as a first team player. It's not known what the new figure is, but it's less than the 30 million euros it once was. And then the final word on this is from Kerrydale Street. Don't know, Super Cheese. I don't know this person, but anyway, talking about there isn't an option, but there's a release clause. It's been extended by 1 year's contract, but has been dropped to between £2 and £5 million, according to this guy, which, despite the sneering nature of Celtic, some other person, Celtic 2022, doesn't suggest he's in Barca's plans anytime soon, and more to ensure they get a fee for him rather than losing him for hee-haw in January if he impressed here. So say he comes in here and does really good, really well, and we like him. There's no guarantee we're going to be able to get him. There's no certainty on what the price will be. There's a few differing opinions here. I've seen other people saying maybe 10, maybe 20. So we're all about managing our emotions, aren't we, Paul, here throughout the season? So are we just going to view him as a temporary fix and enjoy him for one season?
I think that's how you've got to treat it. If he ends up being like the future and the answer and all of that, then hopefully the new recruitment team, which is going to be put in place at the end of this window, we're led to believe, is able to put a package and a deal together that is enough to keep him. But if not, then we've kicked the can down the road for 12 months. We've got cover, and yeah, if we can't secure him or he's not good enough, and JT doesn't sign an extension, we'll be looking for 2 left backs come the end of the season. So that's one for everyone to get sort of excited about, since we've struggled to find even one in the last 3 or 4 years, and now we might need 2. So, but a problem for another day. Yeah, I think the main thing is it looks like a decent bit of business. you'd assume his pedigree is a bit higher than Owen Beck, which was the other person being bandied around for the position. So,
For sure.
yeah,
For
you've
sure.
got
And
comparatively.
And I think sending young Anderson away on a loan for the season to get him some football as well. There's I mean, and he's looked like quite a talented young boy. What
He
I've
does.
seen of him.
He looks a
So-
player. He definitely looks a player. And yeah, another season of first team football for him. He could well be back to provide competition to whoever is in that position. So
It could well be. It'd be nice. Well, it'd be lovely to see.
What else would be lovely to see is that everyone plays nice in the comments and nobody upsets each other. And we all are very decent, pleasant, no ad hominem attacks. Thank you very much. So what else is going to happen then? Arne Engels, is that going to happen? Someone tell me that's going to happen. Trusty, is that going to happen? Sanchez? Before we talk about them, what about Bogusz then? Why did that deal hit the skids?
I think that was always a bogus deal, Gav.
Terrible. Go on, you have to keep talking, Jerry. Fill that silence.
No, I don't. I just want. That was all I wanted to say. I think the just the difference in opinion on the value. And LA wanting to keep him. I read something last night from someone that I reckon is on the ball on all of this, and reckon there was a $2 million gap between what they were looking for and what Celtic were offering. And I guess Celtic, in their wisdom, we have decided that we've got better things to go and do with our money than. And I guess the interesting part, well, for me as well, is the backfill being or potentially being us going back to Sanchez. I guess we just decided we could cover that adequately. You've got to think though that pulling out of that and going for a backfill, they've got to be pretty confident they're getting Engel. Got to be very confident they're getting Engel. Otherwise, yeah.
I wonder, Paul, do you think there's anything in the fact that in the MLS they're not in a window? They can't replace this guy. Yes, It would be good for them to make a ton of money. It would have been their record transfer, etc. But they really didn't want to let him go, and Celtic weren't pushing the boat out so far that it became impossible to refuse.
I think that's where it's got to. They don't have a window again. They couldn't replace him. He's obviously one of their best players, if not their best player. And let's be honest, and we've not touched on this yet, so I'll cover it. Every single deal we do from here till Friday, at the close of the window, we're getting bent over a barrel for, and rightly so, because we're sitting on a stack of cash. We've sold our best player. We've taken another stack of cash, and we're now we need bodies in, and everybody knows we're desperate, and everybody knows we're cashed up. So we'll pay over the odds. We paid over the odds for Ada. We'll pay over the odds for Engels, and we'll pay over the odds for Trusty, and probably anyone else that comes in one way or another, because teams don't want to lose players at the last gasp of the window. They need to replace players as well. Everybody's got their price, but it's creeping up. And we've put ourselves in I reckon we'd have got Engels for 7 or 8 million a few weeks ago. And we've got to this point knowing that we would be losing Matt O'Reilly to somebody. And we're now in the death throes of the window. So I agree with Jerry. I think it'll happen. I think you don't back away from that deal without knowing or being pretty confident you can get this one done. The Engels deal, I think, hinges like the whole window, or the window's a shambles, right? As Roger said in his press conference, it shouldn't be this late in the day. But the success or otherwise the window, I think, almost comes down to if we get Arne Engels and we'll fill around him, I think, then it's probably a reasonably solid window. If for whatever reason that deal falls over and we're scrambling around when we know that he's our number one, the window looks even worse than it already is. But as I said all along, I'll judge the window when it finishes. Yeah. But what we already know is that we haven't got competency in terms of how we've operated across the window. The boss has come out and said that, and the rest of that's playing anyone that hasn't got their eyes painted on. So
Yeah,
if we get Engels,
I
think if we get Engels,
just-
others will fill in around him, and it'll be a pretty decent window. If we don't, then yeah, I think it could be a tough watch for the Champions League when it comes round.
I think the last
So what's
couple
new?
of days. I think the last couple of days of the window be in, because I think there's two aspects to that as well, Paul. Right? I think there's us having a bag of cash and needing bodies, and there's people that have got too many fucking bodies to fill 7 dressing rooms. I mean, Chelsea, for God's sake. I mean, they've got about 1,000 first team players now. I mean, there's clubs
They're
out
still
there
buying
that,
them as well.
and they're still buying them, and there's clubs out there that will over the last couple of days of the window. You know, and I mean, back to what we said a couple of weeks ago. You know, Jota and CCV both came in the last hours, if not minutes, of a window. So I mean, I think I agree. I mean, if we don't get Engel in, it's he seems to have been the number one priority. I mean, outside of getting Big Adam done and getting Paolo back, it seems to have been the number one priority for weeks now. And again, I agree with you, Paul. Why we couldn't have got this deal done? I mean, you know, fair play. They've been holding out, knowing that we're going to get to a desperate point, right? And we'll pay an extra couple of million or whatever it is to go and sign him. And you know, and I think the converse of that as well. When we're discussing the last show I was on, Paul, and you were almost going to have to get Stevie's drugs to calm you down on the Matt O'Reilly one. You know, if it was anything less than 25. And fair play to the board. They played that one. They got you what you wanted, Paul, and what we wanted. And
well, they got to my minimum, and
they did.
But, so they got but that deal was a long time in the making. Brighton showed interest.
So's the Engel one.
Well, is it though? You know, like we've not made a first bid until after we've got the deal signed in a way for O'Reilly. I just think that's daft. Like it's not like we're relying on O'Reilly's money to make that deal happen. Yeah, there's a lot of bodies in the building, and we need some out. And credit to Rodgers and presumably the board in terms of helping to facilitate the exit of some of these players. Rodgers has obviously told them in no uncertain terms there isn't a future for them. So, and the board if you know, obviously, I presume we're potentially picking up some parts of salaries for some of those players that have gone on loan. But we've also sold players that are about either sold or about to sell players that were surplus to requirements and got good fees for them. You know, what is it? 5 or 6 Todd Cantwells for Boss on Law. And 5 or 6 Todd Cantwells for Mikey Johnston as well.
Mikey,
yeah. Doing today. So
well, okay, you're getting ahead of yourselves here, lads. We're about to talk about both those players. Before we do, so Engels, Trusty, Sanchez, those are the 3 in the picture. And do we think we're going to get all 3 of those? Do we think we might get two out of the 3? Are they mutually exclusive? Or are we attacking on all 3 fronts?
I think we'll get. I certainly hope and think we'll get Engels. It sounds like we're not far away. And with, you know, we went 9, we went 10. We hear it's 11 or 12. You know, that signing is clearly Rodgers' number 1 replacement for Matt O'Reilly, or addition to the squad for Matt O'Reilly's money.
Yeah.
It's not just the missing in the squad. It's what that does to his relationship, which is already probably a little bit stretched with the board. So that's got to happen. Trusty seems like that's a preferred option. If it's not him, I wouldn't be surprised if, as Jerry says, we get thrown another Premier League centre-back that is out of favour, that may or may not be of interest. Well, yeah, that's clearly accurate because he's cheaper and not as highly rated. So in terms of getting Sanchez, it'd be easier to get Sanchez than Engels, but that's fine. It's either both, or look, the Luke McCown story is not going away either. He's still not gone to Hibs. And if we get Engels, I wouldn't be surprised to see McCowan added as a homegrown addition to flesh out the squad as a 4th or 5th choice centre midfielder. So I think if you get Engels, people will tolerate McCowan. if we don't get Engels and it's McCowan and Sanchez, people will be rightly disappointed.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm going to stick to what we said all along, which is, look, let's wait until we have the full picture before we declare our emotions. Everyone's up to high dough at the moment, but
not me.
We just have to see how the
I agree with Paul. I think we'll get another 4 in before the end of the window. So, and Engel, I'm pretty certain we're going to get in. So,
what about the fact that during this? Go ahead.
So just before we move on, I've seen Frank Bennon's comment that MK Don get at least 10% of what we got for Matt O'Reilly. Now, I saw something last week, and I'm not sure if anyone else picked up on this, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it was a screenshot. Yeah, so it was 20% was the sell on, but there was a buyout clause in there of £250,000 Now, if that's accurate, there's no way our penny pinching board hasn't paid that buyout weeks or months ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not giving 4 or 5 mil away when you can get away with $250,000.
You would fucking hope so. You would, but you wouldn't. You wouldn't put money. You wouldn't put money in it, Paul.
Nah, well, I put a $5 on it, but that's about it. But yeah, we'll see. But I don't think anyone's got a clear picture on what MK Dons are getting out of that deal, if anything. But obviously, I'm not really disappointed what happened to him the other night.
Absolutely.
All right. How about the fact that news has broken that our board have magnificently held the line and resisted bids for Hatate and CCV, Jerry?
Even I'd be writing if they had succumbed to going and taking money for those two. I think I mean, we've all seen what our team looks like without CCV in defence. I mean, it's unthinkable at this stage that we would let him go. And again, I mean, whether we've had bids or not, I mean, he's been consistent, and this is where he wants to play football. I mean, I don't think he's got a lot of interest in going back to, a second tier team in the EPL. And Hatate, again, I mean, I think another season Hatate's going to go, right? But I think he has improved. He's improved remarkably last season under Brendan Rodgers. I think he'll continue to do so this season as Matt O'Reilly did last season, and then someone will come and pay us outrageous money for him. But I mean, I think 10 million for Hatate, someone's taking the piss as well. So
if they are indeed, well, yeah, I think they are taking. I think the board's taking the piss. Like, if there's a genuine offer to an unnamed French side, why is it unnamed? There's no need for it to be unnamed. It could easily be, but one, it's a joke of a bid, and two, I'm not surprised by the skepticism around, the board potentially just getting a story out there to make it feel like we've avoided leaving one. We could never let the two of them go in the same window, and CCV obviously can't go anywhere. Hatate will be off, if not even in January, then he'll certainly be off next summer.
Kaiser's obviously clued in. He knows which French team it was that made the bid, so he's helped us out with that. Le Fake FC. Very good. All right. How about... I see somebody mentioning Mikey Johnston. You've seen the latest news on Mikey Johnston, have you all?
West Brom again, is it?
Yeah, all that talk of Sheffield United and people saying money's in the bank. He has been sold. That deal has been concluded, and it had nothing to do with the trustee bid because that's gone through. Turns out to be nonsense. He's now currently undergoing a medical at West Brom where he went on loan. So what do you make of that? Do you think that's true? Hot off the press.
Seems believable. Obviously, I think we'd agreed a fee of 2.5 with Sheffield United. Burnley were sniffing around, and West Brom then came back into the picture, and apparently the fees bumped up to 3. Which, if we get that for him, it's good. It's good business. It's good for him. He did well there. Obviously, he's going back to a place where he knows. Obviously, we've seen the benefit of that with Bernardo and Ida for us, so it would help him settle in when the season's already started. And yeah, he'll do well there. unburdened of the pressure that the Celtic shirt seems to have put on him. I think he'll do decent. And if we get 3 million quid for him, so much the better. It can be tipped into, like I say, one of these other deals. We're going to get squeezed till the pips squeak for the players that we want to get over the line later on.
Speaking of pipsqueaks, let's talk about this, Jerry. I want to keep it moving here because we're going to run out of time. Todd Cantwell apparently has agreed to sign for Blackburn Rovers in a 500k move. So we get 3 million for Mikey Johnston, and they get 500,000 for this little twat.
I think they've been robbed. 500,000.
Well, they are. And look, the other thing is they'll be paying him. There'll be a payoff to him for some of that wages shortfall just to get him out the door. So they're probably not even netting 500,000 by the time that deal's finished. And he's obviously having to take a pay cut. Now, it just sums them up. They've got players on, very average players on ludicrously high wages that their fans get overexcited about and bum them up to superstars. And the facts are they're distinctly average. And
he was the next big thing not long ago, Paul.
Nobody wants to spend the money, even on the wages, even without a fee.
What that all means is this summer's transfer window, if he has no more talks, or he doesn't have any talks about a new contract and he doesn't sign a new contract with Norwich City, this transfer window would effectively represent the optimum time for Norwich City to maximise a fee. Now, there are lots of figures being bandied around about the valuation. I've heard figures upwards of 40 or 50 million pounds before Norwich City would consider a sale of Cantwell. But they are aware that Aston Villa are interested, and it is expected that interest will accelerate into formal interest once Grealish's deal to City is done.
40 to 50 million they were talking about a few years ago. I bet Norwich are sorry this didn't happen.
Who's that tit? He hasn't got a clue. What are your crew?
Some punter in the what? Because he's bald.
That's hilarious.
Are we in a team? That was madness. But then he came to Scotland and was very quickly crowned the best player in Scotland. Certainly their best player. Do you remember this?
Beautiful Todd Cantwell at the moment.
TikTok Todd?
Yeah.
Is he the
I
top
think
man?
Depends what you want to talk about, consistency or blip. Yeah, I think Cantwell's probably in there. Raskin's come in and done a good job.
Who's your best player? TikTok Todd was the answer. Did you see the smiles from the Celtic boys there?
Yeah.
Quinny from Celts are here, and your man from Celtic Fans TV. What's his name, Paul?
Paul.
Oh, that's right, yeah. They were smiling away like a basket of chips. And that was said. Let's look at that again. Where's the bit where they're smiling? I think it's about here. Look at the faces on them.
I think Cantwell's probably in there.
We tried to tell them. They just would not listen, would they? Those fools. So next thing I was going to share was the Frimpong thing, but that turns out to be nonsense. Just came in at the very last minute before we went live. There's no talk of him moving anywhere.
Doesn't look like it yet.
Yeah.
And it was faked up to go to Barcelona, but Barcelona have got real problems in terms of getting players out before they can get more players in. They've missed out on that Liverpool guy who is off to Salzburg because they couldn't clear their wage structure to get him in under financial fair play.
Speaking of financial fair play, did you see what do you think of the reports that Rangers were being valued at 150 million and an investor was about to come in? And then 10 minutes later, all the shareholders were like saying, what are you talking about this? There's nothing to this story. Why would a story like that break on the Daily Record, newspaper of repute? You can tell me.
The same reason. The same reason all stories breaking the Daily Record like that. Someone's told them to go and write some pish to make the fans feel good about themselves.
And in Derby week as well. What a surprise.
Exactly.
Okay. Want to talk a little bit about the Jota story. Now then, this is a rather strange carry on, isn't it? What's going on here? Reported by Fabrizio Romano. Rennes have agreed a deal to sign Jota on loan from Al Ittihad. Formal steps to follow. And then on Champions 67, they were saying it was reported yesterday by Romano that he was going to sign on loan, but doesn't seem that might be the case. Maybe he's going to sign for them as a purchase. They were talking of a transfer fee of 10 million euros. This was like this morning, I think I saw this. And there's a bit of a sort of opinion piece here on Champion 67. I think Jota probably feels like he's completed Scottish football in a way, and you can't blame him if he does think that way, considering he won a double and then a treble in his last 2 years at Celtic, as well as playing in the Champions League for us and scoring at the Bernabeu. Because a lot of our fans are saying, oh my God, he was available for this kind of money and we didn't even try. Come on, Celtic, what's your problem? And then this is today from Fabrizio Romano. He'll be in France today to complete his move to Rennes. Fee will be around 8 million euros. What do you make of this?
I think that's probably correct, but I think he'll be getting paid a shit ton of money. The guy,
Yeah, I saw
so,
60.
I mean,
I saw 60 a week, and I just read something else that apparently a lot of their, look, Michael Meekins just put it up. A lot of their players are on figures a month. So.
I mean, the guy, Rennes, I mean, I read someone saying earlier on, I mean, Celtic are a public company, obviously, so all of this is public record. Rennes are privately owned. The guy that owns Rennes is worth 60 billion, something like $40 billion or something like that. Married to Salma Hayek, owns Gucci, Puma, Christie's the auctioneer, and so I mean he's got money to spend. I think what they're paying in fees for players is irrelevant. I think they're paying shit. I mean they're just paying him a huge salary. I mean he's certainly going to be on more than whatever 25 or 30 at a push we might pay him. That's for sure. He's going to be at least 3x that, I think. So
I think the other thing was there was tax implications if he was back in the UK tax system within the first 2 years of leaving, because obviously his money in Saudi Arabia was tax free. But if he returned to the UK, the friends at HMRC would have been after him for the tax on the money that he'd made while he was away as well, I think. So that would have been a non-starter as well as anything else.
Yeah, I did a bit of research into Rennes there, actually, Jerry, and you sort of you answered a few of the questions I had. It was like, who owns them? Where is all this money coming from? Because everyone talks about Rennes being minted. Francois Pinault, owner of the Artemis Group, he's married to Salma Hayek. I didn't know that.
He is, and he's worth whatever. Again, he's Kaiser's saying what's Dermot Desmond dug me, but Dermot Desmond's a shareholder in a public company. This guy owns an organisation. He can do with what he wants, and Dermot Desmond's worth about 1/10, if he's lucky, of what this guy's worth.
Mm-hmm. He also owns Chateau Latour, the wine label, Christie's, as you say, Puma, as you say, some French news magazine, a luxury cruise operator, some fashion houses, an LA sports agency, and Stade Rennais FC. They've never won League One. Glenn Kamara's in their squad. It's the only name I recognised when I looked at it.
Yeah, they just bought him from Leeds.
So there's our man, Jota. I guess we'll never see him again. He loved us very much, more than his former girlfriends. There's Rennes. That's where Rennes is there. It's a wee provincial club. Is Christophe in the house tonight? Can probably tell us that so. Rennes are no great shakes. They're just owned by a wealthy dude all of a sudden.
Well, he's making a career out of going and working for wealthy dudes, isn't he?
I guess he is.
Good luck to him.
Yes, good luck to him. Just want to see the boy happy. Hey, Paul.
Well, we'd love him back, but it's not going to happen. So time to move on.
Yeah, exactly.
What is going to happen?
Let's not turn him into Paddy Roberts or the like.
What's going to happen tonight? Just a quick mention here. Salma Hayek in From Dusk to Dawn. Yes, quite. I mean, she still looks amazing. Amazing. And
My
she's like
favourite-
in her 50s. And who would
My
look
favourite-
near a woman in their 50s?
My favorite story about From Dusk Till Dawn was that obviously Quentin Tarantino wrote that and cast himself as the person that gets to drink the tequila off her leg and it runs down into her. So yeah, he's not daft as old Quentin. But yeah, a very famous movie scene.
Mm-hmm. Let's just think on that for a moment. No, we better move it on. Tonight's the night.
Tony
this
Daly's
happens.
asking, can she play centre half? Right, Tony.
Well, let's move on from Salma Hayek to Brest, Lille, Eindhoven,
Dear, oh
Dortmund.
dear.
Well,
Indeed.
I'm just listing the teams in the Champions League.
Yeah. Dear.
Are we all excited about the draw? Can't not
Super
be.
excited.
Come on, it's going
Super
to be brilliant.
excited.
Excited with a bit touch of trepidation. There's a combination there that gives us a right good chance to get in that top 24, which is where we want to be aiming for, and the gaffer's already said that's what he is aiming at. But there's also a nightmare scenario, which means we could be pretty close to the bottom of that 36 league, depending on how the draw lands. So yeah, I'm excited. But
how does, excuse my ignorance, and I haven't checked, so and I should have. But how does one end up with 8 teams, Paul? Do you know? Do we get X amount from pot 3, 4,
you
2,
get
and 1?
2.
Or-
Every team gets 2 from every pot. So being in the pot doesn't actually make any difference in terms of the quality of your
Well,
face.
That's what I thought.
You can only get 2 from any one country. So we can only get 2
Right.
English teams or 2 German teams or 2 Spanish teams.
Right.
But there is a scenario where we could get 2 Spanish teams, 2 German teams, 2 English teams, and somebody else, which would be pretty stiff.
Pretty stiff.
But yeah, they basically the pots 1 and 2, their teams get they get told all their fixtures. So by the time we come out of pot 3, we'll know some of our opponents already. And then the computer runs through each team in each pot for the rest of their fixtures. And so, yeah, you know, pretty quick. Apparently the whole draw is only going to take 25, 35 minutes, but you know what it's like, the whole performance and chat will take a couple
so
of
three,
hours. So.
3 hours before the draw, yeah.
So yeah, so we won't know until the early hours of the morning, I wouldn't imagine. So
and it's all done by computer, algorithms
yeah.
or whatever. It's all picked out immediately. There's no more velvety ball bags, unfortunately.
No.
To dip into. Okay, so any fixture jumping out at you? Who do you want, Jerry? What
Show
one
me
club
pot.
would you love to see us play?
Show me pot 1 again, Gav, can you?
Pot 1.
I would love us to play Dortmund because it's a great day out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love us to play. I wouldn't mind 2 German teams. I would take Dortmund and Leipzig.
That's funny. I saw on Celtic
I'd take
AM they
that.
were talking about who they want, and they were talking up the German teams. I'd love to see the likes of Juventus, maybe, or AC Milan. One of those
Yeah,
previously glamorous Italian teams.
I didn't have a great trip. I've been to Juventus away before, and they're horrible bastards. Those Juventus fans.
Yeah, and the obvious other thing is there's no return fixture, so you might get Dortmund, but that could be at home, or it might be at the West Palm.
Yeah.
I want the easiest draw possible. I've got no interest in a single bit of glamour in this. I just want us to have the best opportunity to.
So what's the easiest draw possible, Paul?
Well,
if you go pot 1.
Some of that's debatable, but I've looked at what I fancy, to be honest, based on current form and league positions and the like. I'd take the 2 Germans
Leipzig.
from pot 1.
Leipzig and Dortmund.
Well, you wouldn't take Bayern München. Yeah, I would take them. And again, part of that's because it's a good trip, but part of that's because I reckon we've got more chance against the 2 of them.
Part 2, Bruges and Shakhtar.
Yeah.
Benfica.
I'd take, maybe Benfica, but I'd take Bruges and Shakhtar ahead of Benfica. But I'd be happy with any 2 from those 3.
Pot 3.
I've got Young Boys with Bern and Red Star Belgrade.
I don't want Young Boys. That's going to give the other side lots of.
Yeah,
We've played them. We've
opportunity.
played them before. They're absolutely dead last in the Swiss league. We absolutely
Yeah.
want them. We should be taking 6
Yeah.
points off there. They're
Who's
the
this?
weakest team in the
Cervena Zvezda? Who's that?
Red Star Belgrade.
That's
Yeah.
Red Star Belgrade. And GNK Dinamo is Zagreb.
Dynamo Zagreb, yeah. So you take them as well, potentially.
Any of those, I'd take 2 of those 3 for sure.
2 of those 3 for sure.
And then
Well,
you'd like
we
to
all
handle-
We all love a Brest.
well, yeah, Brest
you
haven't
get
had a
your-
great start, so you would take Brest and
sink your
probably
teeth into them.
I'd take Slovan Bratislava as well. That would be my other pick from that. Sparta
Slovan
Prague have started like a
Bratislava.
steam train, and you want to. So other than that, maybe Sturm Graz. You want to avoid the Spanish German, and you want to. I know people say we want Villa. I've got no interest in Villa either.
No.
That's the strongest team in that group.
Yeah, have I? Actually, I went Euro 96. I had a whole bunch of tickets, and we were playing 2 Scotland games at Villa Park. And just a quick aside here, we were playing, I think, Norway, and they stopped serving drink in the bar in the hotel we were in. So we locked the barman in a cupboard at the back of the bar, and we're back down. There was a back down. Couple of the boys went back down for one of the quarterfinals or something at Villa Park, and one of them said, "Oh, there used to be I can't remember where he's from, Welsh boy or something. What behind the bar?" I said, "Oh no, he gets sacked after some Scottish guys locked him in the cupboard at the Norway game in Euro 96." Anyway, there you go.
Well, I hope he recovered and was gainfully employed soon thereafter.
So did I.
Hooligans in the Tartan Army.
So it's just a desperate attempt for us to claw into 24th position and get another playoff, most probably, right?
As high up as we can get, to be honest.
We're currently in 13th. That's pretty good. That's probably as high as we're ever going to be.
I'll take that.
And we're there alphabetically, which is surprising. You consider Celtic be 13th. But I saw one Celtic fan's view, Baz. He was showing this and he was like, this is supposed to be alphabetical. And he couldn't work out why Milan were at the top. Any answers on a postcard?
Army Club.
AC Milan, of course.
But if it was full Army Club, they would be further down. So there you go. It's because they've only used the AC.
Yeah.
C for Celtic, and we're 13th out of 32. Anyway, it's going to be brilliant when you see these 8 fixtures. There's going to be some real mouth-watering games.
Hamish Carton did a good little bit on this earlier, and he's got a good graphic as well. But I think he did some analysis that basically means 10 points should get you through. Like 10 points is almost certainly enough to get you into the top 24. 9 or 8 might get you there if you're lucky. So 10 points would be the target.
I just hope it doesn't sound a bit like the Euros, whenever they said in the Euros, only 8 teams go out in the first round, A Scottish guy said that to me, and I was like, yeah, but one of them's going to be Scotland. So I don't know why you're comforted by that. I mean, only 12 teams out of 32. No, 9 teams out of 30. Am I getting confused here? How many teams go out in the first round? 8.
In this?
The bottom 8, bottom 8, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's all seeded after. It's pretty much all seeded after that. So there's not even really much of a draw. Like the teams in 24 is likely to play the team in, like the top 8 go through into the last 16. So then team 9 will play team 24, team 10 will play team 23, etc., etc. And then from those, it's all pretty much aligned like a tennis tournament draw. And then so you're pretty much, probably not.
I don't understand why anyone is looking forward to the Champions League, says Monty. Why do we bother? Well, we bother because it's exciting. We're playing against teams of a really high standard. It's not only worth participating in sport if you win every game. It's a massive challenge for us. I understand the context, obviously, of what's been spoken about here is that those powers that be don't share our ambition to do well. But ultimately, if you can't get excited about being in the Champions League, then I pity you. Hey, lads.
Well, yeah. It's,
Not everyone shares that view. Pete McGee says it's a daft question. Red Scotland agrees with Monty.
Yeah.
Our board definitely doesn't bother. But yeah, ultimately, come on.
Surely, Jerry.
I'm looking at flights just based on Paul's pick there. So yeah, sorry, Paul.
But Jerry, you'd agree with me. Like, obviously, you know, you'd have been a fair few Champions League nights under the lights. There's nothing more exciting as
nothing
a
more
Celtic
exciting
fan than
I mean,
it's a long time since we'd got those results, but I remember us beating AC Milan, Lyon, Juventus. I was in the ground for all of those games. You were probably in the ground for all of those games.
Like I was at Atletico game the 2-2 game last season. I mean, I was at the 3-0 game, Real Madrid game the season before, and I mean, the atmosphere was unbelievable. Even we lost 3-0. We played them off the park for 61 minutes or 62 minutes. Get pumped by arguably the best team in the world, and then Atletico was fantastic. Yeah, you want to be at those games. It's there's nothing like a Champions League night at Celtic Park, and there's nothing like the crack of going away and with the boys and watching Celtic away in Europe as well. So
and didn't you have a colleague there whose dream it was to see a European night at Celtic Park?
We called.
He turned around during the "You'll Never Walk Alone" and he had tears streaming down his face.
He was crying, yeah, and so he's actually at some point tomorrow morning when I get up, I'll be on the phone to him because he's going to come over for a game this season as well, a Champions League game. So we might do a home and away. So yeah, I mean, I'm a Celtic fan. Running a supporters club. Part of our gig in life is to try and find that next generation of Celtic supporters outside of Scotland as well. He's not in my supporters club. He's in America, but Celtic fan for life now. So yeah, nothing like it.
Nothing like it. Absolutely brilliant.
How's it, bro? Loving a Celtic world. It's fantastic. Definitely worth a subscribe, hey.
Definitely worth a subscribe, hey. Completely free to you. We'll not ask you for money. We're not setting up a members section or anything where you have to pay monthly, nothing like that. I know everybody else seems to be doing that at the moment. We're not. It's free. Always going to be free. This we pledge to you unless we get like 50,000 subscribers or something. But while we're still piddling around with the low numbers that you see in front of you, it will definitely remain free. So why not like and subscribe, support your
But if there comes a mad rush, you can't guarantee anything. We'll sell our souls to the devil.
Exactly.
It'll be a long...
Start selling season tickets.
It'll be a long, long time. So there's Mark suggesting, yes, get subscribed. You can hit like as well. Apparently that's good. Brown Warrior just subbed, thought he'd already done it. If, like Brown Warrior, you think you've already done it, why don't you check now and see if it says, it gives you the option to subscribe. If it does, you haven't already done it. The panel needs new signings.
I think that's a good point, Uncle Nobby Steamboat. We were having that discussion during the week, weren't we? Yeah.
Yes,
we're
this season will be
the window, and we need more.
There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. People are working very hard. I want you to assure you of that, and I'm confident that before the imaginary deadline, people will be coming in. Here's Martin Pickett saying he loves the Celtic world. Dr. Martin Pickett, who told us all about Kyogo's shoulder on a recent episode. I've been going for physio on my shoulder. I've got a bit of tendonitis in the shoulder, doing exercises every night. So I feel his pain. I think it's maybe just because I'm an empath.
Monty looking for Steve because he's obviously finding not enough negativity this close to the end of the week.
No, exactly. And sorry to tell you, Monty, but Stephen's currently sedated in a padded room until the end of the transfer window.
Oops, sorry, not that. Where did Jerry buy his blurry wallpaper?
The wife bought it. I put it up.
There you go. That's the answer. All right, well, let's get on with looking forward to the game then. It's coming up. This is the first exciting bit of news. John Beaton, who loves the Rangers, is the referee. Is that worth getting excited about, or do we think that genuinely over the past year or so, Rangers have about as much to girn about from referees like him as we do? Jerry, are you still feeling hard done by?
Yep, of course.
Okay.
I think, yeah, well, I mean, it's never going to change. It's never going to change. So we've been putting up with for generations, and we shall continue. But it's never going to change. You've always got to be better.
That's what we're hoping from the game, is it not? That's something I created in an idle moment a couple of days ago, sitting on my phone, killing time. It's like that. All right, so starting lineups. Who's going to play for us? Does the team pick itself, Paul?
Maybe not quite. I know I'd go the same team that started against St Mirren, with Kyogo in for Ida and Kuhn in for Jamesy Forrest. And the rest of it picks itself, I reckon.
And
I would agree, but I'd leave Ida and I wouldn't bring Kyogo on later in the game. But I would certainly have Kuhn in for Jamesy Forrest. But yeah, I think the team picks itself.
I'd do the opposite. I do what we did in the cup final, because Kyogo's good for an early goal potentially. But if we somehow need to mix it up like we did in the cup final, then we've got Ida to give a different dimension. So, but either or could play, to be honest. He looked pretty rusty against St Mirren.
He did.
Another week of training will have helped, but I definitely start Kyogo for it.
And I wonder what Brendan Rodgers is thinking when he sees the Rangers team sheet, anything like this.
Who's wanting pumped? Who's wanting pumped? Who's wanting pumped? Who's wanting pumped? Are you wanting pumped? Are you wanting pumped?
Ah, dear, that's quite funny. Did you see that on Twitter?
I did indeed.
Twitter user Daleboy is who I was showing there. So the midfield battle, are we worried at all about who they're going to play, or are we supremely confident? We've been pretty confident in quite a few of these recent Glasgow derbies. And as Graham Souness likes to tell us, it's always been quite close in the end to score. But, we're due. It's about time we give them a pump, and come on.
Yeah, I think we'll win, and I think we'll win comfortably. Obviously, they've got the latest Messiah, Connor Barron, playing in midfield, so that could cause us no end of trouble. But no,
he's a poor man's McCowan.
He's not even that good. He's not even.
No,
I saw some clip from some idiot on Super Scoreboard saying, he's going to try and shut down McGregor. Well, he's a holding midfielder, so if he's up as high as the pitch as he's playing to mark McGregor, I don't know who else. I don't know who's playing the holding role. Maybe Diamandi, Sterling.
Actually,
one of those two.
I actually watched, and I never ever do. I watched the first 18 minutes or whatever of that Ross County game, the Huns, because I couldn't sleep, so I thought this will put me to sleep. And they were absolutely pish until they scored that. I mean, I didn't. I went to bed after they scored that first goal, but they're rubbish. They are rubbish.
They've had to convince themselves that Cyril Dessers is a superstar because he scored 2 goals against the shite Ross County side in front of a half-empty Hampden Park. Like, there's always the something freakish could happen, bad decision, silly red card, etc., etc. But even with that, I expect us to win comfortably.
Yeah, they're hilarious the way they jump from hero to villain to back to hero again. Dessers is either pathetic and needs punting, or he's going to cook this season, and he scored more goals than Kyogo and all this kind of talk. Matondo was being booted out the door, and then he scored 2, and now they all want him to start.
Why can they not get 30 million for him the same as O'Reilly? He's had a better start to the season. Did you see that tweet?
I saw that. Yeah, saw that.
No, they're just delusional.
Absolutely off the fucking chart. A lot of them.
So, do we want to predict scores or anything?
Well, Jerry will be 7-0.
7-0.
7-0.
I'll go 3-0.
Think it's going to be as convincing as that? That would be a more convincing scoreline than anything last season, right?
Well, they've gone backwards, and we're hopefully at a similar level. We're certainly playing better football. Obviously, we've lost Matt O'Reilly, but we're playing
the way
football.
we finished the season. Yeah, I mean, we finished the season superbly well.
What do you think in the comments? There's a couple of 4-0s there from Christophe and Kaiser. I mean, when there's this much confidence around, I said this before in a recent episode, when things are going so well, you just have a horrible feeling that something bad's about to happen. And the next 10 minutes later, O'Reilly's announced that he's being sold.
I keep saying as well, Gav, Brendan doesn't lose to these guys.
No, he doesn't.
Thomas Burns, I just want to win. 1-0 last minute and I'm happy. I mean, of course, 3 points is the ultimate objective. But it would be nice to give them a good hiding, would it not?
It would.
Would be.
And you get the usual form goes out the window in this. I think there's somebody there say they operate in a vacuum. For the most part, that's not true. You know, the form team usually wins the game. And I expect that to be the case again.
Even Mahesh can't come in with like a negative tactical analysis that gives us cause for concern or pause for thought. Rangers will play 4 at the back, and Celtic's movement, the final third, should cause them no end of grief.
Also predicting a 1-2-0 win.
4-0 is popular. I can't show them all, but there's Monty is suspending his anger and despair to say Celtic 5, the Rangers 1 with a penalty. Very good, lads. Very good. Okay, well, we'll have to see. Looking forward to that. There will be a drink along with the usual players, Dano and Kaiser, who's in the chat, and hopefully a guest appearance by Tom from the Soul CSC. He might join like at halftime with his phone, like Jerry did on the last one. You know, click the link and show us all the atmosphere in the bar. That was good crack, Jerry, wasn't it? When you did that.
Well, I'm actually, I might do that this weekend from Sydney. I'll be down in the Sydney CSC watching it. So,
will it be as good as or better than the Singapore one that you did last time?
it's a bigger audience. I'm a bit more riotous than the Singapore mob.
The in-joke is that Jerry didn't do that at all, despite saying he was going to do it and enrich everyone's experience.
You go and do that with the best intentions and you get caught in the moment, right? So it's not, as you know,
a few beers in, you're like, I can't be bothered with that nonsense.
But I'm off the cans, so I've got no excuse not
That's
to
right.
this time, Gav. So
good stuff.
Monty throwing some shade at X-Man as well.
How could you do such a thing?
It's bad form, isn't it?
Cruel. He's our mascot. So there's this game, and this is the preview game. Then we have the review game next, the show next Monday, which will be looking back at this Glasgow Derby. Then we have 2 international break episodes or shows to fill, which we're going to be filling with hopefully 2 CSEs that I'm talking to, and from 2 of the world's great cities. One is a city where, as the song suggests, you might struggle to make it through one night. Any guesses?
New York.
No. What's the song about one night?
Oh, I thought it was like there wasn't a night because it's a city that never sleeps. I have no idea.
Anyone in the comments? Well, this is a quiz. Okay. Answers on a postcard.
Rutherglen.
Ian Roy is in. One night in Bangkok made a
Ah, right.
crumble.
Right. Who's
Yeah,
on from
no.
who's on from the Bangkok CSC? Do you know?
Jesus Christ, there's so many things. People that you know, I think, is Jerry. David knows them.
Yeah,
Paul
I
and
know. Yeah, Paul used to be on the committee of the Sing Tims. He's a good boy.
okay, great. And then the other CSE we're talking to is a place which is more associated with another period of time, but this time it's a minute. What city is associated with a minute?
New York.
Yeah, New York is the right answer.
And is it New York or is it Manhattan?
It's Fulton County Fenians,
Right. Okay.
hopefully. If
Yeah,
everything goes
nice.
well, that is the plan. So that'll be good. All right. 352 people are joining us live. That's pretty good for us. We're just a little show, just started last season. This is a start of season 2, still finding our feet in many ways. So if you want to support us, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and the like button. It's good for the algorithm, apparently. Helps put us out to like-minded Celtic fans, right, Paul? You have to say this kind of thing.
Apparently, that's the clincher. You need to say that to be taken vaguely seriously, which is not something
But
we usually adhere to.
Yeah, it's just boring having to say it all the time to people. I'd rather like play something that snaps people out of their reverie and makes them do it, like this.
Hello all the Celtic fans. Here in France we love the Celtic world. C'est fantastique. Subscribe. C'est un fait accompli.
So that's 2 of those today, just because we've got decent numbers in. Oh dear. Okay, so let's wrap up the show. We've just gone over the hour mark. Let's wrap it up then with a bit of social media stuff. Paul, this is yours.
No, sir. You're in section first class. Good evening.
Sparta Prague.
Yeah, first time in 19 years in a Champions League, and their social media guy did this, or girl did this. Yeah, I thought it was quite funny.
I can't believe that, as I said in the chat, that someone hasn't used this previously. This clip. It's clever.
Very good.
Good on them.
Good old Mr. Bean. You know, if we've got time for a little aside, I was once on a ferry in the middle of nowhere. I think it was in the Philippines, like some obscure part of the Philippines. I was backpacking around, and I got onto this ferry, and I'm sitting outside and in the sun and looking at the sea and stuff, and feeling like a real traveler.
Wind in your
far
hair.
away. Well, maybe between my 2 hairs, and then I heard all this activity going on, and I sort of looked in the window, and all the people who were sitting inside in the ferry in the one sort of central place on the seats, and they were just all rolling with laughter and pointing the same direction. And I walked in, and they were all watching Mr. Bean and laughing their heads off. And I thought, geez, this is universal comedy. You know, it's
I thought you
incredible.
were going to say they were laughing at you, girl.
No. Why would they do that?
I was waiting to hear that Rowan Atkinson was on the same ferry. It took a
I
downward
thought he was
turn,
going
to
to
be
say
honest.
that. Yeah.
No, I just couldn't believe it. That, yeah, here I am in the middle of nowhere, and they're all laughing their heads off to Mr. Bean. Anyway, that was a little aside. What has Jerry got for us? Maybe nothing, but I'll add this anyway. Don't know if you saw this news. Second tier podcast.
I did. This was great.
Burnley's academy manager has resigned after sending a scathing report of their first team players into the wrong WhatsApp group. Dave Longwell called some of the players lazy, a big waste of money, rubbish, and a disaster. He accidentally sent it to the under-21 players, which led to the first team finding out. That's quite amusing, is it not?
I saw that the other day. It was a good one.
And then finally, I saw this. So I meant to show this on the other most recent episode, but here's Ange's team, or one of Ange's photos, and look at the amount of players that have gone since then. That seems like no time ago. Red X's galore, including the manager. Just shows you it's a revolving door, isn't it? A football club, players come and go, managers come and go, but Celtic will always remain. Right, lads?
Yep. What is it to say? The
Indeed.
name on the front, the
Absolutely.
name on the front is more important than the name on the back. So
Yeah.
So, closing thoughts from you, Jerry?
7-0. And
That's your
we
closing
shall
thought.
7-0 will be the culmination of an exciting week.
And how will we look back on this window?
I'll defer to Paul. Give us another couple of days and I'll tell you. Again, exciting. I mean, I expected. I didn't expect the excitement to continue this long in the week. I have to say, I'd hoped we would be sitting here feeling a tad more comfortable than we are just now. I do still think we'll end up with another 4 players in the door before the window. Really looking forward to waking up at dickhead o'clock and seeing the Champions League draw as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting next 96 hours or whatever.
We live in interesting times, Paul, do we not?
we do. My final thought is to thank my wife for allowing me to come on air on her birthday. So there you go. That shows you the strength of the relationship I've got with my good lady. So
happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday to Rochelle. She's I wouldn't go as far as to say she's a Celtic fan, but she's probably, she doesn't really like football at all, but she's a
Rangers fan then.
No, she could easily fit in there. She's a bit more connected to reality than any of them lot. But yeah, no, I agree with Jerry. It's I've kept the Zen attitude up all through the window. It's testing in the last couple of days, but let's see it out and we'll judge it when it's finished. I expect a good result on Sunday, and that's the most first and foremost thing, and we'll see how we go. Once the window's done, and we've got a draw to look forward to, and we'll see how we go.
Look at all the love coming in. Hail, hail to your wife. Happy birthday. I want your Paddy Laveries. All right, guys. As always, guys in the comments, thank you so much for all your crack. Couldn't do it without you. Well, we could, but it wouldn't be the same. We value all of your comments very much indeed. Thank you to Jerry and Paul. And we'll see you on Monday. And basically, the next time we meet, all of those things will have become clear. We'll know the result of the game. We'll have had the Champions League draw. And we're pretty much going to have a definitive view of the window. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Plenty to talk about on Monday.
Hail, hail. Keep the faith.
Hail, hail.
We love you all very much. Cheerio.
Hey,